Smile. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Smile, starring Sosie Bacon, Caitlin Stacey, Jesse T. Usher, Kyle Gardner, or Kyle Gallner, whatever his name is, and it was directed by Parker Finn. And our story follows this doctor who witnesses one of her patients commit suicide, and while she committed suicide, she was smiling, and now the doctor feels like she's being haunted by this certain entity that takes over people's bodies, or essentially presents themselves as certain people, but it's not really them, and they're just smiling, doing creepy shit, and she has basically 4 to 7 days to figure out what the hell is going on, or she's gonna die. And while this premise seems like it's something you've seen before, let me explain something to you. This movie is unlike anything you've ever seen before. I mean, it follows all horror movies come from somewhere, so it's gonna follow some certain cliches and things like that. But when I tell you its uniqueness it's similar to the movie it follows, and then I can tell you this, I have not been affected by, look, I'll say this. Throughout the year, you've probably heard me in my Bodies review, my Barbarian review, say like these horror movies are this, that, and the third. They're amazing. They're off the charts. They're insanity. I haven't seen movies like this in forever, blah, blah, blah. But look, I need you guys to hear me out here, because this movie here, Smile, deserves all the praise and all of your attention and all the glory that it's going to get from these reviews and from people just watching it, because this thing is absolutely bonkers from beginning to end. When I tell you I have not been affected by a horror movie like this since probably Midsummer or Hereditary, like Barbarian got me. Like when I left Barbarian, it was still sitting with me for a day or so. But when I tell you, like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still in that theater thinking about this fucking movie, man. This movie has not left me. I haven't left the theater. My body is here in my room, but I'm still in that theater haunted by what I saw on that screen, man. This movie actually got me. Like, first of all, this movie this and Barbarians not only show that jump scares can still be very useful, but they also show that they're very effective. This movie has a lot of jump scares, and they're not cheap jump scares. They're very good. They're actually impressing me throughout the film with these jump scares, because they're actually getting better and better. It's as if this movie is trying to top itself on how it's trying to scare you. It's either going to use the very creepy music it started with, or not even started with. Throughout the movie, there's just a lot of creepy music going on. There's just a lot of creepy shit in the background, man. And the movie's jump scares just get more and more intelligent throughout the film. It just gets ridiculous. Like, they're getting very creative with the jump scares at this point. They're getting creative on how to scare you in this film. There's one scene in particular that doesn't even have to do with a jump scare, but it's like she's laying in a bed. She's literally in a room typing on her laptop. She looks into a dark closet, and something's calling for her. She decides to ignore it, just lays down, and it's literally still going, Rose, come here. Rose, like, yo, like, I was absolutely terrified, man. Like, I haven't had chills go down my spine in a horror movie in a very long time. Like, Barbarian got me, yes, but I'm trying to explain this in a sense to make you guys realize, like, this movie is the one of one. This movie's absolutely incredible. This movie is probably going to be the best horror movie out this year. Like, this movie deserves all of your attention. Please, I need people to go see this movie, because this thing is absolutely batshit crazy from beginning to end too. That's so impressive to me. And on top of that, Sosie Bacon gives an incredible performance. Now, before I get to her performance in general, anybody in this film who was possessed by this entity, or essentially was affected by the entity, like, for example, Rob Morgan's character, who's only in the film for like 2 minutes, but his character was affected by the entity. Anybody who had to deal with that entity is giving phenomenal performances, because they all have to put on these acts as if they're the only ones who can see this thing, which they are, because that's how this thing works. They're the only people that can see this thing. Nobody else can see it. Nobody else will believe them. And it's crazy, because throughout the film, at least for me, I'm asking myself, what would I do if I'm in that position? This movie is a very psychological movie as well. It puts your mind through a lot of crazy scenarios, asking yourself, what would you do in these sort of situations? Because if somebody's coming to you telling you that there's something haunting them, and nobody else can see it, you wouldn't believe them. But then when it's your turn to go through this thing, and now you need somebody to believe you, it's crazy, because nobody will. Like, the tables have just been completely turned. On top of that, I love love how this movie takes the premise of essentially people have to smile through pain. And what I mean is, like, you know, throughout the movie, while she's dealing with this, there are things going on in her life where people are just looking at her as if she's crazy. And so what she's trying to do is she's trying to put on a brave face. She's trying to put on a smile. She's trying to smile through it all because she doesn't want people to see that she's actually going absolutely batshit bananas. And that actually plays out for a very true story, whatever word you want to put it. It plays out in the real world because that's essentially what we go through in our lives. A lot of us smile through when we're having bad days. We still got to put on a brave face. We still got to smile and just get through the day. And, you know, people are acting like that's the social norm. That's just how it's supposed to be. But this movie definitely dives into that material, and it's very effective, man, in multiple different ways. This movie scares the shit out of you. This movie absolutely has you locked in psychologically, man. I haven't been, like I said, I haven't been this affected by a horror movie since Midsommar or Hereditary. I mean, Parker Finn here, the intro to this movie is ridiculous. The introduction to this whole thing is absolutely insane. Like blood and gore, is like a light statement. Like this movie is absolutely just gory, just pure blood and guts all over the place. I mean, not really guts, but no, there's a lot of just crazy deaths and a lot of crazy scenes in this film. And I'll even say this, when we get to the ending of this thing, and that's really where this whole thing lands for me. I was really nervous about how this thing was going to end. I didn't think they would be able to stick to the landing. Oh, but my goodness, did they stick the landing. This thing was absolutely phenomenal, man. I mean, the ending is such a mind fuck that you are just sitting there absolutely amazed. Like, I'm sitting there just shocked at so many different things that's going on screen. I'm not only shocked about how effective jump scares actually are being in 2022, like, I'm also just completely astounded by the fact that this movie is just sick. Like, this creature, this thing that's messing with her, doesn't even have a name as far as I'm concerned. Whatever this entity that's messing with her, man, this thing does a lot of crazy stuff throughout the film. I mean, like I said, Parker Finn, the director of this movie, deserves all the praise in the world because he is so creative about how he's going about scaring you, man. They're using so many different ways. They're not just using cheap jump scares or using their same effective ways. They're trying to find different ways to be effective and scary throughout the film, and it's working. At least for me, it's working. If you're not scared by this, you know, everybody's got their thing, but I love horror movies, and when I tell you I have not seen a horror movie this good since Midsommar Hereditary. I need to keep saying Midsommar Hereditary because those have become the social stand. Those have become like the standards of great horror now. At least after those movies came out, everything's being held to those standards. And let me explain something to you. This movie is up there with those. This movie is up there. It probably doesn't pass Hereditary, but it competes with Midsommar as far as I'm concerned. This movie is absolutely phenomenal from beginning to end. Sosie Bacon gives an absolutely fantastic performance. I mean, I was in shock, like how, like, she plays a crazy woman phenomenally, man. I mean, this movie is insane. And while you do think while I will say this, the movie, you know how the movie's gonna end because essentially you know that she can't escape from this thing. Like, you've seen movies like this before. They spend the entire movie trying to get away from whatever's going to happen to them. They have 7 days, blah blah blah. But essentially, the way that this film is going about it, like I said, it's kind of like a It Follows premise where it's using a very unique premise. It's still following the same horror cliches, but it's using a unique premise to just do something completely different, and it's succeeding in every sort of way possible. So look. Overall, this is one of the most sickly, demented, twisted, sadistic movies I've seen all year. This movie is absolutely batshit crazy from start to finish. I loved every second of it. This is one of the best horror movies I'm going to see all year. This is one of the best horror movies I've seen in a very long time. This is one of the most effective horror movies I've seen in a very long time as far as actually frightening me and scaring me. And I really, really, really need to, you know, hide under the covers or do something because I don't know. This movie messed me up. But look, overall, guys, this movie was completely phenomenal. I loved it so much. I need you guys to go watch it. It's as simple as that. And for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give this movie a 4.75 out of 5 stars. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Okay, look, Smile. Have you seen it? If not, go to the theater right now. If you love horror movies, this is your movie. This is the movie for you. Honestly, I gotta be real. The horror category in general is actually very strong. I hope Halloween ends actually, you know, is very good, because, or I hope it's good, because the horror category is actually proving to be a very strong one this year. I mean, look, I wasn't that impressed by The Black Phone, but I'm going to include it in this category because I know people like that movie. The Black Phone, Ty West's X, Pearl, Bodies, Barbarian. Like, there's a lot of good horror movies coming out this year, man. Look, we started the year with Scream, and that was very good. So no, horror is definitely making itself to be one of the best genres this year. But this movie overall is just one of my favorites, and I need everybody to go see it. So please do that. But look, other than that, be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.